Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland. This video is how to perfect your English for Indians and people from other South Asian nations. I hasten to underscore that many Indians speak English with perfect correctitude, and of course many people from the supposedly more Anglophone countries such as Canada, the USA, Republic of Ireland, UK, and so on. Some of those people, even if they've got English as their only language, they make plenty of mistakes in English. It might be hard to believe, but yes, I make mistakes in English too. But there are some people in India who speak English a lot, every day, but they occasionally get it wrong. So this is to help them, mistakes which are particularly Indian for some reason. And these people can make themselves understood mostly, but they might feel embarrassed if they've slipped up. So just to iron out a few expressions. Some of these things are not actual mistakes. On other occasions, rather than being erroneous, they're just awkward, and they just lead to misunderstanding with people who are speaking abroad. Let's remind ourselves the purpose of language is communication. So if you're making yourself understood, that's good. However, even if you make yourself understood but you say something ungrammatical or something which is gauche, then you see faces fall. And it just doesn't produce a positive impression because people judge by these things. Perhaps they shouldn't, but such is the way of the world. I remember in India people sometimes saying, I couldn't follow you, meaning I couldn't understand you. Now I figured out the signification of I couldn't follow you, but other people wouldn't get that. So if you're speaking English to a non-Indian person, perhaps avoid that phrase. So the other phrases which are clumsy are just a little bit old-fashioned. Well, coming on to accentuation, take the word madam. It's a courteous thing to call a woman if you don't know her name. It's obviously a bit formal, and you wouldn't call a girl that. And when I say a girl, I really mean one, like under 18. A lot of people abroad, feminists, say if a woman really is a woman, as in 18 or over, don't call her a girl, it's demeaning. But saying madam, not going on to add the surname, that's wrong. Only if you don't know the name, madam. So in any sort of business or work situation. Note you emphasize the first syllable, not the second, mad. And the second A comes out like a U, madam, not madame. And don't emphasize the second syllable, madame, that's wrong. Madame is French. So it has another meaning in English, but as a woman, you really don't want to be called madame, trust me. Madame is for either a French woman or a woman who's running a house of prostitution. Apparently, there is a difference. Now come on to the word comment. So you notice how it's accentuated? Comment. Whereas I knew one Indian journalist who used to say comment, but that's wrong. It's got to be the M has got to be part of the first syllable, com-ent. I know it's a double M, but it's not pronounced twice. Obviously, English wastes the letters a lot of the time with the silent letters, the unnecessary doubles. Talking about a pub, obviously pub is an abbreviation of public house, as in a bar, you could say. There are obviously not that many of them in India. It's not really a drinking culture so much, but abroad, saying beer pubs. I remember reading this Sikh leaflet saying Sikhs in the United Kingdom are frequenting beer pubs, but just pubs. No need to add the beer. Yes, pubs do principally serve beer, other alcoholic beverages, meals as well. Or a Nepali chap who gave me a lift on his bicycle said to me, "You are very weighty." Now, he was misusing the word. The word weighty does exist, but weighty means like serious, authoritative, like a book that's the locus classicus for something or other would be a weighty tome. But a person is heavy, never weighty. Even if he weighs a lot, or his weight is 150 kilograms, he's heavy, he's not weighty. So I noticed in India people being decidedly formal, which isn't a bad thing, using sir and madam a lot. Surely better to err on that side than being discourteous and over-familiar. Even people they knew quite well and carrying on to say that. Now, if you call someone sir, then don't add the name. Because I had a waitress do this. After she told my name was George, and she said, Sir George. This waitress had just awarded me a knighthood. Because in the United Kingdom, or a few other Commonwealth countries, if a man is very distinguished, achieves some marvellous things, he'd be knighted by the Queen. As in, he gets to be called Sir, and then his name, Sir George. or indeed add the whole name, Sir George Callahan. Never Sir Callahan. So if you're calling, you don't put Sir and then the surname. You put Sir and the first name. You could add the surname, but you can't do Sir and immediately to the surname. So what about this? So you can call a man Sir, but just don't add his name. If you're going to add his name, it'd be Mr. and like Mr. Callahan in this case. That's my surname. So remember, with Mr., it should usually just be followed by the surname. Forget the first name. Like in the case of President Trump, before he was a president, just a plain Mr., he'd be Mr. Trump. Calling him Mr. Donald, no, that's wrong. Mr. Trump. You could do the whole bit, Mr. Donald Trump, but if you're going to put Mr., you must go on to add the surname, even if you add the first name as well. Likewise, ladies should be Miss whoever. Like, I'm just to think of an example, like Miss Rai. You could say Miss Aishwarya Rai, all right, but Miss Aishwarya, wrong. Miss Rai. I know the way in South Asia people do that quite a lot, but at an international level in English, that is getting it wrong. So saying any woman is an auntie, even if she's not actually related to you. Now, if she's a family friend, that might be an affectionate thing to call her, whilst still maintaining a certain distance and showing that you hold her in high esteem. But any middle-aged woman calling her auntie, again, is not quite on. Well, street hawkers or people who try to persuade me to go wherever it was would call me friend. I think, come on, I've never seen you in my life. I'm not your friend. I'm not your foe either, but we don't believe in instant friends. All right, so you were raised by your parents, or indeed you could say you were brought up by your parents. Raised or brought up. Raised up, no. That's superfluous, the word up. So in the case of raise, don't say I was raised up in Maharashtra. You can say I was raised in Maharashtra or I was brought up, but raised up is wrong. Likewise, teachers saying, raise up your hand. No, just raise your hand. Forget the up in that case. Because it's just overkill to add the preposition there. Or in a difficult situation, I've heard people saying what to do, which again is very awkward. I'm not sure can I actually say it's wrong. You might say, what should you do? Or what does one do? Or what is to be done? Any of those ones. What are we going to do? I think probably that's the best in contemporary English. What are we going to do? Rather than what to do. Anyway, so a cheesy hamburger. No, just say cheeseburger. You can forget the ham bit there. By the way, hamburgers don't have ham in them. I'm sure you know that. Well, I better not say what they do have in them because there might be some Hindus watching. Well, indubitably there will be. But I really think in India they often have lamb or something else. So hamburgers are nothing to do with ham. They're just as a way of processing meat invented in Hamburg in Germany. Some of these street traders were saying enjoying in Delhi, which again is slightly off. You might say, are you enjoying yourself in Delhi or are you enjoying Delhi? But enjoying in Delhi was a bit wrong. I was talking about slaughtering animals to eat them, saying, oh, the butcher cuts the sheep. Well, you could say he slaughters the sheep. The slaughter's the word we use. Take the animal to a slaughterhouse. Or what else? Slaughterhouse. We have other words for abattoir. It's a French word, but adopted into English. So he slaughters the sheep, or indeed he kills the sheep, rather than cut the sheep. What cuts its wool off? A shearer would cut it. You can cut things without killing them. I cut my hair all the time. Talking about loose motions. Well, here I am again being eschatological or medical. Well, again, that's not wrong actually, but I just think it's a bit old hat. And so in the rest of the Anglosphere, people might not realise they're talking about diarrhea there, because the motions here are bowel motions we're talking about. And yes, they are loose, but probably diarrhea would be the better way to say it. Or a very erudite man I knew in India talking about doing my graduation in a certain city. I figured out he was talking about he did a bachelor's degree. He graduated from his first degree in whichever city it was. But he said, I did my graduation from there. People in the rest of the English-speaking world might not realise what that is. What else? Oh yeah, Jawan and Sepoy. Well, these are like soldiers or police officers. Yeah, outside of South Asia, people don't know what that is. These are Indian words which are adopted into Indian English. Well, Hindi words, really. And people wouldn't know anywhere else. Firang for foreigner. I know what it is, but a lot of others wouldn't. Or even saying bugger, almost affectionately for a person, where that is old-fashioned in the British Isles, and it is quite rude as well. Buggery was a crime. The most detestable act of buggery was banned by Henry VIII. How do I put this as possibly a family channel? This would be unnatural intercourse between one man and another, contrary to the order of nature, as some would say it. Well, you could even do it to a woman, actually. But that's what buggery is, and a bugger is someone who engages in that. So we don't use that one, even if you wish to be insulting in the British Isles. So some people genuinely might not know what it is, the junior generation. But if they do, it could be taken the wrong way, and people could be actually deeply offended by that one. So I think it's best to leave out that word. Or I needed to go to the loo, and some guy said to me, "Urine pass?" But you need to say, well, do you need to pass urine? Because most says pass urine, not the other way around. Britishers. Now, for British people, you could call them Britons, Britons. The people are Britons, or they are the British. But Britishers has fallen out of usage in the United Kingdom decades ago. So, like quite a few of these expressions, they are not erroneous. They are just anachronisms. Okay, are you married? People would ask me. Of course, you should say, are you married? What is your post? Now, post to mean a job. We don't usually say that, post to mean the job you do. And this is a cultural difference. It's not wrong. When in Rome, do as the Romans. But in India, it appeared to be quite acceptable to be trying to gauge someone's status immediately. Where are they in the social scale and indeed financial scale? What is your level of education? Well, we wouldn't ask these ones. But what is your post? People might not understand that. Post, what, like the mail, sending letters? Post might be also the place you work rather than the job you do. Your post in the army is wherever they sent you to. They posted you there. Not like a letter, but they dispatched you there. Unnecessary E at the beginning of words beginning with the letter S. Like, say, a Simon, a certainly, a seems, he's a Scottish, or something like that. Or any word beginning with the S sound, including soft Cs. Now, I'm not suggesting that all, or indeed most, people in Hindustan make this mistake. But if a word begins with the letter S, pronounce the S first. Don't add an invisible E. There is no E in the word a Scotland or a Scottish. It's Scotland and Scottish. So people occasionally slipped into that habit. Perhaps there are some South Asian languages in which a word cannot have E as the first letter. But, there are plenty words where S is word initial in English. Bucks. Talking about money as bucks. In the rest of the world, bucks, that was US dollars in slang, but they're talking about rupees as bucks. So people might mistakenly think you really are talking about US dollars, not rupees, if you say bucks. Sometimes mispronouncing a T as a D, like as in party, saying party. But Americans do that as well, actually, sometimes. Or saying where you studied from, or where you studied by. I would say I studied at Oxford, or maybe even in Oxford, not but studied by Oxford, or studied from Oxford. You could say you graduated from Oxford, but you didn't study from there, or indeed study by there. Who said it? Step up my game. I suppose we don't want to say raise your game, as in improve your level of performance. The question in hand. Well, maybe I shouldn't have even included this one, because that's almost right, probably acceptable. I was a question at hand, but question in hand. Okay, I'm going to say that one's all right. I was saying British, as in the people, rather than saying the British. So don't omit your articles, definite or indefinite. If in doubt, include them. The mistake people usually make is to omit them, including people from Yorkshire. That's a county in Northern England, where they're notorious for economising on articles. Or I read a comment that the British Raj was for the benefits of Britain. Well, if you have for the benefit of Britain, it would be a singular there, not a plural. Or a very learned chap I knew who's saying World War Second, it's got to be Second World War, not World War Second, Second World War. Now, Americans often say World War One, World War Two, but in the British Isles, people don't say that. They will say First World War, Second World War. The Americans are not wrong to say it that way, but some few people for this is trivializing it. What? Is it a film? You can say World War One, World War Two, World War Three. What? Or don't overdo the, the comparatives. No double comparatives. More, larger. No, it's just larger. Things like that. More, better. It's simply better. You know, more, bigger, anything like that. No, it's just bigger. It's wrong. So we're doing these comparatives either more or else the ending, the er suffix. Right, so those are just a few of my tips. Goodbye.